Welcome to the MealPro channel. My name is Chef Dan Catano, your culinary instructor here. And I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about knives. We usually have sets like this that's sitting on our kitchen sink or counters that have all these different assorted knives. So just briefly talk about what I feel you should know how to use them and what they're used for. You can use them for just about anything, except you got to watch out the smaller ones you're not going to use for larger pieces of things that you're going to dice and slice. Well, of course, so talking about the paring knife, well, with the paring knife, that's exactly what it is. You're just going to take the tip of that, and either you go inside of a tomato and take the core out of the tomato. It's used for taking and peeling like maybe some smaller pieces of mushroom pieces into it, or some slices of like the smaller pieces of like onion or shallots you could use that for. But it's mainly used for taking and coring out different things like tomato, cutting smaller pieces of items that, or doing some garnishes. So I'm going to have a cooking show about how to show you how to do fruit garnishes. So I use this 80% of the time when I do a lot of my fruit carving garnishes. So you'll see that in a couple of the episodes coming up. Okay, so that's the paring knife, right? And this one here is a knife that has serrated edges on it. So you could use this serrated edge knife to either cut bread or to cut, some a little harder pieces of items that are a little bit hard to cut through with a regular knife. But mainly the serrated edge knives are usually used for more like your items that are like your bread items, or you're cutting through like baguettes to make smaller baguettes for like hors d'oeuvres, okay? So that's for that one. And then this is our standard French knife. I have two of them here. So they're pretty much the same size, right? It's sort of the length. One's a little bit skinnier, the other one's a little bit wider. So, but they're pretty much the same what you use them for. This is the knife that you use 85% of the time when it comes to slicing your onions and your tomatoes and your potatoes and your carrots and celery. So this knife here is primarily used most of all the time, right? Okay, as your French knife. All right, and this is also another version of a French knife as well too. So these small little holes there is when you're cutting into items, it releases the air from cutting down, and when you lift it back up, your items don't stick, like cucumbers for an example. When you cut cucumbers, these little rivets here that are releases the air and it doesn't stick to the knife, right? So this is primarily used for like when you do vegetables like cucumbers, carrots, and stuff like that. So that's what this knife is about. And you can use it like the standard knife too, as far as their French style knife. This one here is what we call like a carving knife. So you either can carve beef with it, slice beef with it, or you could take and you fillet like little small pieces of like salmon or fish that you could slice. Because it's nice and thin, flexible, right? It's narrow, and it's relatively pretty sharp, and it goes through the meat and below the skin, or above the skin real tight, to do filleting of your fish, okay? That's what that's used for. Okay, and this again too, this is what we call a bread knife, because you can see the serrated edges on it. The serrated edge does not means that you're going to cut through like a baguette or a French loaf or a sourdough bread. This saws through it to where it doesn't smash it down. It just gives it a nice saw. So that's what this is used for. And also you could peel some oranges with it, peel the lemons with it, because these tines here that have the teeth on them go through the skin very easy. Okay, and it makes it a lot easier. So you could use this also for doing oranges, lemons, and then just taking the rind off of your citrus fruits. Okay, and in the culinary world, this is used for mainly this large, huge slicer is used for like when we cut prime rib of beef, or we cut like leg of lamb, or we do a big, huge, gigantic baron of beef. So you take your knife or your fork and you hold the beef down, and then this slices across the top your meats that you have for like your prime rib of beef or your baked ham or your turkey. That's what this larger piece is for. And then of course these two are a little bit larger than your kits that you have, but they're primarily for bread knives. They're for cutting breads and loaves of bread and stuff like that, mainly, and sandwich making. When you cut your sandwiches in half, it doesn't smash it down because the blades, don't have that blade on it that has a serrated edge on there when you do your slicing to cut your bread in half. So these are normally called bread knives. This one's called a fruit knife, fruit garnish knife. So you see how this is. So you would just take your fruit and lay it down, and then this goes down over the top, and you slice your fruit. And then it has those real nice little small garnish edges that goes on your fruit, and you can just put them on your fruit tray, fruit platter, just to jazz it up some. So that's a fruit knife. So that's primarily about all they are, as what you use them for. Like I say, the larger ones are for usually your dicing of your potatoes and your vegetables and stuff. And the smaller ones, the smaller you get, the more intricate work you're going to do with, like maybe a fruit garnish, which I'll do a show on that too as well down the road. But if you like this video, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, which we wish you do, subscribe to us, and then go on to the MealPro.com website and look at some of the wonderful foods that are there that you could order online, and he'll ship them right to you, right to your door. It's really, really delicious stuff. So that's it for me. Take it easy. Arrivederci.